We're doing it live!
All right, hey guys, what's up? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Welcome to episode 6 of the Play Fast Football podcast. We are live at our Play Fast Football clinic, the first one we ever did, St. Augustine Beach in St. Augustine, Florida. I wanted to take a chance while I have some of the guys here to kind of talk to and interview some of the guys that have been so good to us and supporting us. So first up, I got Jeff Sauer from Defensive Coordinator 1. We've partnered up for the last year. Jeff is from Texas. He's a coach in Texas, and we've been working together for about the last year or so. So I just wanted to get Jeff on and talk a little bit about the product. Jeff, how's it going?
It's going well. Appreciate it. Thanks for allowing us to be here. Great clinic. Enjoying this a lot. Great speakers and great meeting the coaches here from the Southeast.
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad that you could get on board to come down here because obviously we've been working together for the last year or so and promoting the stuff, and I wanted to get you in front of some of our coaches in Florida and make sure that they could actually see the product and see what's going on. And so talk a little bit about the product itself, what it is.
Absolutely. So the product is an app that's available on iPads, and it allows you to adjust, basically apply scouting principles in game. So if you take your scouting principles, what you're doing pregame, then you're applying these in real time with live data, and the data allows you to get defensive stops faster.
Yeah, so instead of me guessing about what adjustments I have to make, I actually have it right in front of me to say, hey, look, in 2x2 or whatever they're in, and you're calling this field zone pressure and we're just getting killed, stay away from that in 2x2, but it's been really good in 2-back. Don't be afraid to go to it in 2-back. So now instead of me kind of guessing what I'm doing with my adjustments, I have the data right there to say, hey, this has been good versus this hasn't been good versus that, now I know what to do.
Absolutely. So a lot of times what will happen, at least in my world, is you'll be watching the game film on Saturday morning and you're looking at it and you're saying, I watched that whole thing, how come I didn't notice what was going on, right? So maybe it's a field boundary tendency, maybe it's a strength call that needs to be adjusted, maybe you are a creature habit and you're calling pressures on third down and you shouldn't, your base is working fine, maybe you put in a call that you need to divorce yourself from early, and you stuck with it because you practiced it all week, but the data is telling you to get rid of that call. It's also lining up when they come out in a certain formation, here's your best call statistically speaking.
Yeah, so now instead of, for me, I've always been a gut feel guy. I've always been, momentum-based guy. I don't have a call sheet out there with me. I just, I know what I want to do, obviously based all week on tendencies and whatnot, but like you said, sometimes, bullets are flying out there and there's something that's probably not good, but your gut says, hey, this has been our best pressure, let's go to it. And if you would have analyzed the data, you would understand that that's not your bbest pressure. It's in your mind, you think it's your best pressure, but it hasn't been very good to you. So you can probably get yourself to where you might stay away from that and make a better call based on the logistics and the statistics of the game and not just what you think in your heart and your gut.
Yes, sir. And we don't want to ever take the coach out of the game. So using your gut, using your coach instincts, seeing what you're seeing on the field, talking to your staff, listening to the players, what they're seeing, that's all important. This is just another element that's going to maybe give you that extra stop, maybe give you that TFL when you need it, maybe get that big momentum shift.
I think it's big that that you mentioned listening to your players and figuring out, because your calls are great and everything's great, but if your kids are comfortable running something and statistically, that's working, then you might as well run what your kids want to run, because they're playing. We're not playing. And all these calls in our head are great, but the kids are playing. So if they like something, or they say, hey, coach, I feel really good in base. I don't like this pressure right now. I don't want to play man. I feel a lot better if we just played quarters or palms or whatever. The kids should be one of your best statistical inputs because they're the ones playing.
Absolutely. And one of your mantra, right, of play fast, right? That's so important. And how you play fast is by simplicity and making sure you keep it simple and breaking it down for the kids. So a lot of what we see with DC1 is we don't have time to recoach. We don't have time to reteach right now. We'll do that during the week. So let's throw out a call, or let's put our kids in the best position to have success with the simplicity and allow them to play fast.
I think even more importantly than that, Jeff, it's let's not make up a call. Let's make something up now and panic because we're getting ripped or whatever. We've been working on certain things all week, and if we can't execute that, how are we going to execute something we put in at halftime? Or how are we going to?
That's right.
People talk about halftime adjustments all the time and how important they are. And my thing is, if I've been working all week on a certain game plan and running things and we can't do them, I'm going to draw something up at halftime that all of a sudden is going to be a world beater.
Right.
I think halftime adjustments have a role in the game for sure, but I think sometimes they're just kind of misvalued or overemphasized because we've been working on a game plan all week and we're not doing it very well. If I draw something on the board, I don't think we're going to grasp it in 8 minutes, and all of a sudden come out and say that's been a difference maker. Sometimes it has,
right.
And it has, but more often not, you're better off just going back. Hey guys, let's fix what we do and what we know how to do, and let's make sure we take care of it now with all the, with all the data that's out there in the film, and now the DC1 app and all those things. We should be able to look at some things and say, hey, what's been good? What do we need to fix? Let's get that done, and let's get back to home base and do what we do well.
And to your point, a lot of times as coaches, we rely on that halftime adjustment and hoping it sticks. Maybe it's not even the right adjustment, right? So if we can take little incremental adjustments, series by series, and then have more data points to look at that, at halftime, maybe we have a different adjustment, or maybe we can just say, hey, it started to work. We made this change in second. Do you have questions on the adjustment we made? And now you have more of a learning period.
But at least I just like the fact that it's got some statistical analysis and some data input behind it to say, hey, we're not just reaching for straws here. We know exactly what we're doing, and the programs out there and everything you guys are doing, and some other companies we're going to talk to. The stuff is so good right now. You'd be dumb not to use it. And I'm an old school guy. I try to coach. I don't have a play call sheet. I call offense and defense. No play call sheet. No nothing. But at the same time, with all the stuff that's out there, why don't we use it? I kick myself in the ass all the time. I've got all these tools with me, and I'm not using them. I need to get better at that, and you need to have people on your staff that can help you with stuff like that. But if we're gonna have things that have been developed to help us out, well then, damn, let's use them.
Absolutely.
Let's get better at what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So just give me a little bit, because you're from Texas. I'm from Florida. Two big high school football states.
Yes, sir.
Talent-wise, we're phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
Structure, organization, and everything else in Texas, number one to me. I'll never argue that with anybody. I think you guys do it the best. What do you think that is? What do you think the reason behind that is?
I think the importance that we put on football is second to none. Obviously, it's ingrained in many towns, small and big, from the very beginning. We structure it. In middle school, I know in Florida, the middle school program's kind of here or there sometimes, and a lot of times in the high school, it's all wrapped in so that you have the same system all the way through, from the AD, who's typically the football coach, all the way down, and everyone kind of buys into it.
So the school you're at, Jeff, you have a direct feeder in middle school, and that middle school coaching staff kind of answers to your coaching staff.
Correct.
And now they're going to run what you want to run. So when they get to you, there's an understanding of, hey, this is how we do.
Absolutely. Yeah, and middle schools are integrated during the 2 days beforehand. So they actually work with the high school staff, and every school is a little bit different, but for the most part in Texas, the middle school staff will work with the high school staff during the 2 days, and then that way, because middle school kids don't get there until later, and they've already had some exposure to that.
I just think, I think that's huge. I think we missed the boat on that, the way we do things here in Florida, but as a head coach, I can't change any of that. It is what it is. I got to run my program the best I can. But the other thing I've always been so impressed with is the Texas High School Football Coaches Association, second to none. It's just, I see stuff posted from those clinics, and there's 1,000 coaches in attendance, 1,500 coaches in attendance, and it's just amazing to me that in a state where football is that big, you can get so many guys that are probably maybe not fans of one another, or maybe not friends or rivals, or however you want to look at it, but they all get into one room in one setting and support Texas high school football. It's pretty phenomenal.
Absolutely. But I can tell you this, from a guy that's been at a lot of clinics, either as a vendor with DC1 or as a coach learning, what we're seeing at the Play Fast clinic, and there's Texas coaches here as well, is they're in sessions all day, and no one's ditching sessions. You see a lot of guys moving, hey, let's just go ahead to the golf course or whatever, and we have the weather here to do it. But everyone's in there, head down on a notebook, studying. So, great speaker lineup, and the coaches are getting a lot out of it.
We've got the All-Star panel going right now with 4 different head coaches up there, and there's 120 guys in that room listening right now.
It's amazing.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So what? Anything else on the horizon with DC1? Any changes? Anything coming out you want to talk about? Or?
Yes, sir. So this year we're doing a pretty good idea. We're taking all the data, and now we're going to give you some kind of quick links to summaries. So obviously we've always compared what you've scouted in your hit charts compared to your play hit charts that are dynamically changing every play. But in addition to that, we're going to add opponent's bench, to and away, in addition to field and boundary, strong and weak. And then we're also adding your best call against a formation. So statistically speaking, if they come out in trips, this is what your best front is, this is your best stunt, and this is your best coverage.
Yep. Let's narrow it down to that, and let's make sure we understand that these are the things we should be doing.
Yeah, just trying to give statistical line of sight to what's going to be the best for that particular formation.
I think it's amazing. I think you're doing a great job. I'm so glad we partnered up, and I'm so glad you were able to make it down here. I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We'll talk a little bit later. I'm going to
Absolutely
pick your brain a little bit later
Thank
on.
you.
But Jeff Sauer,
Appreciate it.
DC1, I appreciate it. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Going to kind of move on now and roll on to, I'm going to bring Scott Levin from Just Play. Just Play Football is a digital software program that we use. It's it's a playbook program, but there's so much more that I want Scott to be able to talk about what they do, how they do what they do, and the things that they can do with your program. And so Scott, come on over. How you doing, bud?
Good, Coach Mack. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about Just Play Football. What is it?
So Just Play Football has a couple different platforms where you can create your playbook, game plans, installs, and you can actually share it to your players on their phone, computer, iPad, wherever they have access to internet.
Right.
That's our team account. We also have a My Just Play account, which is more of a individualized, almost external hard drive where you can create your own playbook and take it with you from school to school.
Okay.
So a couple different systems, but really a dynamic learning tool for your players and your team.
What's been, playbook stuff has been around forever, and now it's just so good as far as drawing it, and guys that are really into technology that like doing stuff on a computer and drawing stuff, and that stuff's been around and it's getting better every year. But
Right.
what do you think's been the biggest perk in the Just Play system? The scouting stuff that you do with the game plans, the kids taking quizzes. What do you think's been the best feature?
So it's a couple different fold. From a coaching perspective, I think our tool is more made for football, where you actually have the yardage as you draw routes that you can save and template each time. So you're creating efficiency for the coaches.
Yeah.
But from a player perspective, I mean, we have quizzes that the coaches can see the grades automatically. You can track player usage down to the second on what page they've been on. And really, it's a flipped learning classroom for model for the players, where they have access to their diagrams and their films side by side. If it's a game plan version of a play, they can see how things carry over week to week. We used to call it same as when I was coaching, where hey, this is same as week 2, week 8. All you're doing is pulling cards from previous weeks and applying to the next season.
Yeah, so I think that's, from a coach, obviously as a head coach and somebody who's calling both sides of the ball at different times, and anytime you can save that way when you got a different game plan and you got to draw cards and diagram cards, and it's like, hey guys, a lot of the same things we saw in week 3. Let's go back and pull some of those formations and those cards from week 3 so I don't have to redraw them, because I'm one of those guys that still draws things by hand.
Well, absolutely, and it's when I was coaching, I had those manila envelopes and manila folders that I was drawing all my scout cards on and bringing them out to the field. And I think, every coach has the same amount of hours during the week and same amount of hours during the season, and the time that you can save during that time is invaluable. That's
what it's all about.
Win,
that's where I mess up all the time, is I could have saved myself with technology and how good it is if I would just invest in it, or even make somebody else on my staff do it, or whatever it is. I could be saving so much time to be doing other things and make myself more valuable to the program if I would just give in and use the technology that's out there. And you as a head coach, you have limited time. You got to find time, you got to save time, you got to make time. And these programs that are out there now, there's ways to do it. We got to be able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Coach. And what's nice, really, from what I've seen with Just Play compared to systems I've used in the past at other places, is every coach is able to affect their own position group, their side of the ball. So you're really creating with the coaches a collaborative game plan, whereas you can actually get individualized down to position group or player level on the player side for Just Play.
Yeah, what I liked about it the most was being somebody who's not very good with the technology side. When I started working with Just Play and they hooked me up with an account, and I said, hey, I got to go to Orlando and speak at a Glazier clinic, and I want to use your stuff. Can you talk me through it? And you guys talked me through it for a couple hours at a time and a couple days at a time, and got me to where, even helped me draw and diagram and save some of my stuff, so that when I got to, my big thing was, hey, I want to go to Glazier and speak on this, and I want I want to sell Just Play as the diagram tool that I use, but I don't want to make it look bad.
Right.
You know, and the guys are so customer friendly and so easy to work with to say, Coach, just call us. We got it. We'll go on remote with you and we'll show you how to save everything where you need it. And then I used it at a Glazier clinic, and I used it in webinars that I did on my website last year, and it was awesome. It was, it was easy for me, and I'm not great with that stuff, but it was easy for me to do. And, it's just something I need to start using more, because I need to start learning how to value my time.
Well, and we appreciate all you've done for us. You've really been an ambassador for Just Play with what you do. And to that point, we're looking to work with as many coaches as we can and help grow the game in that way.
Yeah.
Help, really coaches improve what they're doing at clinics and speaking, help get access to their players. But we just want to help coaches grow the game from their team perspective or at a clinic level.
Yeah, because this clinic is all based on a lot of social media stuff, a lot of YouTube stuff, and getting 160 guys here at an oceanfront venue for the first time in St. Augustine, and getting the vendors that we have here that we partnered with, and the reach that you now have on social media and Twitter and Instagram, and still with Facebook and YouTube and everything else. It's just easier to get your product out to a lot of people. It's a lot easier from a marketing standpoint to say, guys, we can reach more people if we would just do it this way.
Yeah. Well, and I think Jeff Sauer said it before, is this clinic really is a testament to what you've done on social media with all the coaches coming in. It's been all ball learning. Really, it looks like egos have been checked at the door in totality. So, but talk about the reach that you have on social media. We are looking to work with coaches that can help grow the game in that aspect as well, and hopefully Just Play can help provide that for other coaches.
Yeah, because it gets you out of that old-fashioned realm where you had to cold call and get in, hey, Coach, can I get by your office for 10 minutes and everything else? And, coaches are busy, football's crazy, and sometimes you don't know people and you're like, who's this guy? I don't know if I want to talk to him. But, when you can network in other ways and find, people that are using some stuff and say, hey, Coach, why don't you check out this guy? He's using it, and check out these guys that are using it. And then next thing you know, you're getting yourself in front of more people, because that's what it's all about. Get eyes to your product.
Right, exactly. Well, and what you've done, it almost seems like you've created a meeting room without walls in a lot of different ways. And that's something we do with Just Play is, we're compatible where you can bring huddle clip examples into the player seats side by side. But you can also bring in your install meeting room film. So if a player is playing basketball, he can actually, in the spring, he can actually follow along with the installs in that way. So you're bringing that to a much larger level with what you're doing, YouTube, your podcasting, and it's growing in that way as well.
Can you, I know we talked about it a little bit, are you at liberty to talk about some of the college programs that you guys might be working with now?
We are. So we're at the collegiate level, I would say, a couple of different SEC programs, Kentucky being one of the flagship ones for us, and then SMU has really utilized us, and they've totally flipped over their process to Just Play at this point. They had a phenomenal year down at Southern Methodist, and then at a couple different levels, but Princeton is another program that really flipped their entire process to Just Play.
Yeah, so you guys are now in the, making it, cutting into college level now, and, breaking in with, it's been a long time since I've been around that realm, but I don't know who's still, is it XOS or who's still big?
So XO's DV Sport, and that's what we've
DV Sport's still around?
DV Sport's still around, and our system is compatible with all of their film. And what's nice about it too is these staffs, these schools have massive staffs now. And what Just Play does, it allows each coach to have their own voice on the game plan because of the login. So it's a collaborative place for the coaches. But then let's say you only have a certain amount of countable hours with the players at the college level. This is a way to increase accountability, increase the reach we talked about within your own program as
and then maximize the time, because you only have X amount of time.
There's the same amount of hours for every coach in the week, coach. So we're just trying to help good coaches and coach ball.
So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that thanks to Play Fast Football, you're now working with all these colleges.
I would say that's the number one reason, Coach. So we appreciate everything you've done for us in this
I appreciate what you guys have done for me and allowing me to use your software and allowing me to pitch your software to other people. And
yes, sir.
I look forward to working with you guys in the future and getting better with your product as it moves on, and all the, every year that you guys add stuff on and seeing who these college guys are that are using it. I think it's amazing, and I appreciate you coming down to our clinic.
Absolutely, Coach.
Thank
Thank you
so
very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes,
sir.
Thank you, guys. All right, we're going to go to Ben from GameStrat. A lot of you guys know that. A lot of you guys know that over the last 2 years, if you've watched our YouTube stuff and you've watched what I've done, we've been using GameStrat as our sideline replay system for the last 2 years. We switched over and started partnering up with GameStrat, and it was a perfect product for us. We wanted a sideline replay system, and they were looking to break into market, so it was just a good relationship for us, and we absolutely loved the product, and they were willing to help us out and be a vendor down here at our clinic to get down to Florida, and they're actually going to stay for a little while after the clinic's done and kind of meet with some people here. So let's talk a little bit about GameStrat. What's going on?
Yeah, thanks for having us, first of all. We're super happy to be here at the clinic.
Nice Canadian accent, bud.
Yeah, well, we're out and about in Florida now, so
it's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, really great to be here. GameStrat, we do sideline instant replay. So our big thing is reliability and speed of video transfer.
Yep.
So when you're doing sideline replay, you got your video on the iPads on the sideline, you want to have it when you need it, and that's usually for most people immediately, especially obviously if you hear play fast football.
Yeah.
You're going fast, you got to have that video right away. And the worst thing for all those other guys using different stuff is that they're not getting their video when they need it and things like that. So we're switching over. That's our big thing. Is
the biggest thing for me was not only the product itself, but when you're anytime you're dealing with technology, there's going to be issues, right? It happens.
Yep.
On our end, what we want is when we have issues, we want to be able to reach out to people. I'm not saying, hey, can you please stop all these issues? I'm smart enough to understand that we're going to have issues. But when I have issues, I want to be able to get to somebody. And that's where you guys have been so great. The customer support from what you're doing has just been outstanding, because I can call at any time and get somebody to say, hey, man, this is probably user error on my end, but I can't figure this out. And, you guys are so easy to reach. You're always, even as you guys got bigger as a company and started doing more accounts and more business stuff, you're just so easy and accessible. And not only is the product good, but for me, it's more the troubleshooting side to say, hey, look, I love the product. The product's fine, but when I get into a problem, I want to know that I can talk to somebody to fix it. And I think that's where you guys are making your inroads into businesses. You're so accessible to people.
Yeah, we take that part of it really seriously too, that through the whole process between the training and the onboarding and everything, we want to make sure that you guys know not just how to use it, but the best practices of how to use it. And then Friday night, if any things do come up, things happen, setups are different at different stadiums, so we're always available there, and we want to make sure the best thing for us is if it works well for you guys.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about with all these, with DC1 and with Just Play, and the digital marketing world is crazy now, and the advertising world, and what smaller businesses like myself, what we're able to do with Just Play with Play Fast Football and working with Just Play and DC1 and GameStrat is we're able to get more eyes to the product to kind of help you guys get in some more doors. And then, you guys do the ultimate work, because once you get in the door, you got a great product. And it's just amazing where we are in the world now with marketing and advertising. And, when you guys first started, I can remember getting emails and calls and saying, hey, can we get in? Can we get in? How has it changed now to be able to is it easier to get in the door with people now? Or?
Yeah, it's way easier, and a lot of credit to Play Fast Football for that, and lots of other things. And like you said, the landscape has just changed so much, and it still is changing, of just the way you get in contact with people and building a brand. But the more that people can see GameStrat, hear GameStrat, and hear obviously like great coaches like yourself talking about it, it makes a
huge difference. I get a kick out of it. It makes me so happy when I see on Twitter other chats on Twitter with GameStrat, and then I see other, whether it be YouTube sites or whatever, other guys that are now all of a sudden GameStrat, and you see it out there, and it's like, hey, this is what, it's what networking's all about. This is what building business is all about. Let's get this product out there, and if people like it, let's drive eyes to the company. And we talked about this all the time. The hardest thing on my end is the return on investment. So, I know through what we do on YouTube and our analytics on YouTube and Twitter and everything else, I know that I can get people to the product, but I don't know how to sell anything, and my job is I just got to get people to the product, and then hopefully you guys do your job on your end, and then when things get done, all you can do is talk about your experience and say, hey guys, look, just give them a shot, give them a try. I'm telling you, you're going to like the product, you're going to love the customer service. So, if you're not happy with what you're using, get out there and give it a shot.
Yeah, I think that's worked really well too, that we get a lot of guys that, whether or not they tell us right away, if we talk to them later on, but where'd you first hear about GameStrat? They'll say like Coach Mack or the YouTube guy or something like that. And
we try to get like a pitch out there to say, hey, tell them Coach Mack sent you. I think that's an old commercial that that somebody probably used somewhere, but so I don't know if I could take that one, but it's like, hey, if you go to any of these places, tell them Coach Mack sent you from Play Fast or from YouTube, and let's make sure that they understand that, the advertising and what we're doing is working, and there's eyes on the product, and, that's what it's all about. You got anything new coming up for next year? Anything you're going to try? Or?
We're always continuing to make it more and more bulletproof and get the video transfer, keeping it as fast as it is, and keeping everything really reliable. We are working towards getting some. I know some coaches are looking for custom tags and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's something we are working towards. Not 100% if it'll be out this year, but that's something that hopefully comes in the future though.
Yeah, because I think you got to, I think you guys are really doing well in the sideline replay system market right now, and I think you've done a good job breaking in. Obviously a clinic like this is big because you guys, there's some other clinics that you just can't get to because other companies kind of have them, blocked out, so all of a sudden you can get down here and be at a clinic, and that's why we wanted to have you guys and the companies that we have here, because we felt like this would be another venue to get you guys out in front of some people that, you can't, I won't name the clinics that you can't get into, and, the companies that, the reason why you can't get into them, but everybody knows what they are and who they are, so it's important for us to say, hey, look, you support us and we support you, and let's get you down here at this clinic in front of these people in Florida, and let's get out of the snow and get out of hockey season and come down here on the beach.
Yeah, we like being down on the beach, and it's like you said, it's a great clinic to be at, and there's a lot of great coaches here too, and we'll be at as many clinics as we can be, and the more that we can be at, the more coaches we can meet, and just so many great ones here that we've had the chance to meet with and talk to, and just be able to show our product and get the ball rolling with them.
How many guys you think at this clinic use GameStrap?
The guys here currently, probably around 10, 15 of the guys.
So in this clinic alone, there's about 10, 15 GameStrap customers already, and then trying to up that number from there.
Double, triple that.
How much longer are you staying this week?
So we're down here until the end of next week. So until next Sunday, we're going to be in and out of all over Tampa, Orlando. So if anybody's looking to get a demo, something like that, we can definitely swing by. That's what we'll be doing.
So if you guys are in the Florida area, any of you guys that are Florida coaches that listen or watch anything we do, if this comes out in time and they're still in town, contact GameStrat. They're going to be in Florida for the next week, enjoying the weather and trying to push the product out there.
Enjoying the weather and working hard.
We're working hard, working out.
Yeah.
Tanchikaya is working out somewhere while Ben holds the fort down. So, but great guys, great company. We absolutely love them. If you have any issues with your sideline replay system, I highly recommend GameStrat, and I'm glad they're here. Thank you for everything you guys have done for us, and I appreciate you guys coming down.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
So we're gonna continue on, I think, a little bit later, guys. I think Colby is going to be able to mash up some things. I'm going to interview some other guys after some of these other sessions. I want to get some other people on from some of the speakers that were here and some of the guys in attendance just to talk about the clinic, how it went, and how people are enjoying it right now. So we're going to sign off for right now, but I think we're going to mash it all together, and this podcast will be a bunch of different stuff. That's on Colby to kind of edit it. So appreciate you guys listening right now, and I'll probably catch you in a little while back on the flip side of this podcast, episode number 6. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast, guys. If this was the last part of the podcast, then I'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, Coach Mack, Play Fast Football. I'm here with Matt Lawrence, offensive line coach at Bolles High School, who kicked off our inaugural Play Fast clinic, talking about offensive line play in our first session. So Matt, glad to have you here. I'm glad you can make it.
I appreciate having the opportunity to speak here at the inaugural Play Fast clinic. It's been an awesome experience, especially kind of a deal that's geared towards high school coaches. I think is a market that needs to be touched on. It's definitely a little bit more of an intimate setting than you'd get at a Nike clinic or a Glacier clinic. So I think from all the coaches here, I want to express my thanks to you for putting on this clinic and especially for giving me the opportunity to present on kind of what we do at the Bolles School with regards to our run game, the gap schemes, and our outside zone stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, it was our goal when we started this thing that we want to be an alternative to other clinics. I don't know if we want to compete with those clinics, at this point, but just wanted to give some people in North Florida, South Georgia, and then through the YouTube stuff that I do, we got 12 different states represented here, guys that came from all over the country, and we definitely wanted to make it high school only because as a coach for 22 years, a head coach for 22 years, I would go to all the different clinics, and you hear college guys speak, and it's great, but if I don't have those kids, I can't really do that. So to get high school coaches together to say, hey, these are our problems. How do you teach gap schemes to high school kids? I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, because there's when you're coaching with guys that you can recruit in and recruit a certain skill set and a certain size and everything, there's certain things that you can do and there's certain problems that you don't have to face. But when you're kind of trying to build an offense or coach guys that are based off of the genetics of your area,
playing the hand you're dealt.
Exactly. So there may be times that you do get lucky and you have some decent size and decent skills of linemen. All right, well, you can do some things, but then what happens the next year when all of a sudden you have that 5'8", 109-pound guard. Like, how are you going to how are you going to make sure that he has success within your system, your program? I think that when you get all high school coaches together, they have that same idea, and they face those same problems, so they have ways to fix that. And then I think also you always kind of feel a little more comfortable too asking guys that are in the trenches with you dealing with those same problems, because you know that the answer that you're going to get is something that you probably can't implement, or at least take something from that. Whereas a lot of times you're asking people at different levels, and it's like, well, hey, just recruit better, or we don't have that. So I think it's an awesome deal. The way
I think what happens, early on when you first start doing it, it's you get to the situation where, hell, if Florida and Alabama do it, I got to do it that way.
Exactly.
And if the NFL guys do it that way, and if Alex Gibbs does wide zone that way, I got to do it that way. And it's like, well, no, we don't have those people, so we got to be able to take their expertise at what they do, but kind of put it into a system that we can teach and use with our kids.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, even with my experience at Wisconsin, we were a pro style offense. We were a huddle offense. So when we broke that huddle, the O-line knew basically everything that was going on. So we knew the formation, we knew the play strength, we knew the motions, we knew all that stuff, and we had time to communicate, calls and different fronts and things of that nature. But with that, then we also, we were student athletes, but let's be honest, our main focus there was athletics, where now you're getting to high school, and you may have, through the course of the week, you may only have 40 minutes of meeting time, and these kids are they're not at home. It's a whole different environment from teaching aspect of it. So then how do you take those things that are so highly detailed and boil that down to something that's simplistic enough that you can teach in a short period of time and teach to kids of all different athletic abilities? And I think that's when you get to high school football, I think that's where the money's made. That is where you're going to have sustained success. It's the coaches that are able to do that.
Yeah, and you're probably, I imagine, most typical line guys, you're always looking for more indie time. And at Bolles, do you find a way? Because what I do at my practices with my guys all the time is I say, hey, look, I don't know how much indie time I can give you, but when I do kickoff or I do kick return, steal your guys and get an extra 10 or 15 minutes in. Do whatever you need to do. Shield punt and maybe field goal is probably the only two where I need your guys. But if I don't need your guys, that's the extra time to say, look, man, I can't give you all the indie time you need for an O-line guy, but steal it during these other areas.
If an O-line coach ever created a practice plan, it would probably be about an hour and a half. You'd probably have, maybe 75 minutes of indie time, and the rest could be whatever you
inside
want to make. Exactly, inside run. Exactly,
yeah,
something of that nature. But I think from an O-line standpoint, and this is why I think, well, obviously as an O-line, I'm biased to it, but this is what I love the group about, is that you don't have to worry. For the most part, you don't have to worry about the
diva mentality. Go ahead. And say
okay. All right, that selfish mentality, that diva mentality, that hey, I got to make sure my stats are there, and this and that, and I look good, and I have all the all the armbands on, all that stuff. So, so I kind of set it up, and I try to set the expectations for my guys at the beginning of the year that there's not going to be a single group on the field that outworks us. So what that means is that we're always going to be, if we have 30 minutes of meeting time, all right, I'll take the headache from the head coach, but we're going to go 35. We're going to be the last group out. Now, with that being said, we're also not going to be the group that's out in the field, throwing the ball around and playing hack and sack and all that stuff. When we get there, your helmets are on, and we're to our corner.
As a head coach, I know, when we go from period to period, once we go from an indie to a team period, I know I got to blow the whistle 17 times to get the
exactly, yeah, and you're going to yell at us. I got one more thing to do, one more thing to do. But I make
sure. Hey, Matt, we're in team. Matt, we're going to team. Matt, we're going to team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a little bit of that is one is it's kind of a pain sometimes the head coaches know, but the players start to get that thing. The players start to see that and we're not standing around doing nothing. So they understand and say, hey, that we're always that, but we're the ones always a little bit extra. And so I try to steal as much time as I can pre-practice and making sure those guys. And a lot of times I try to work with them and teach them that hey, each one of you as an individual has something to work on. So if I'm not out there because of whatever, we're trying, finish up a script or the office coordinator, I need to get together real quick and start practicing. Hey, there's some, as we're going through a meeting, we came up with an issue, we gotta get this fixed. Now you as an individual need to be down there working on your craft. Whether it's stance, whether it's a start, whatever it is, but there's things that you can do as an individual. Then once I come down, then we'll go ahead and start putting things together and walk through. And usually at the start of practice, it's not going to be physical. It's all going to be mental, kind of get ourselves a review of what we just went through. Because let's be honest, you have a kid that's been sitting in class all day.
Yeah.
All right, sitting in math class, science class, he doesn't want to be there. And then you expect him to sit in a meeting again, in a dark meeting room, watching film, and a lot of times it's not him on film.
Yeah.
It might be a correction, he might be the right guard, we're correcting the left guard, and they're not the point. A lot of times the young kids aren't the point that understand, hey, when I'm coaching someone else, I'm coaching you too.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, hey, okay, let's come out in the sunshine, let's go ahead and get moving around, but almost let's review what we just talked about there. So now they're going live. They had the mental reps, and now they have the physical reps of going through that.
Now, do you in your experience at two different high schools now in our area, and two different demographics in nature. I've been at three different high schools. Do you find it's different using your meeting time or your film time and how you use it? Do you find, I found in my experience that at different schools I've had to do things different ways, because at some schools there was more film time that was great, and then I got to other places and the film time wasn't as good because those kids just weren't those type of learners, so we cut those short and went on the field.
Yeah, I think it's been about the same, and I don't know whether it is, and maybe I got to do a better job analyzing myself of how I'm teaching this, and really kind of really drill down to see, okay, is this being the most efficient? But I feel that the position that we play, and the fact that I'm not coaching just one or two guys, but we go to film because the tight ends and fullbacks are also in with me.
Yeah.
So now I have that 30 minutes, and there are 7 guys that are getting coached up. And so with that being said, I think the kids where I'm at now are the same as they are at the other place. And so with that, from a teaching standpoint, you got to try to get as much as you can in the film room. But from an O-line standpoint, a lot of that is so much of a field deal between working with the guy next to you, and recognizing fronts and live action, how it all fits. That we try to mix it up and be the best of both, where we're getting that film time, kind of that classroom time, so to speak, and then also getting that film time, so that if you're a learner that does better by having someone talk to you, you got that. If you're a guy that wants to be, the kinesthetic learner, to use a fancy word, then hey, we got that for you too. So
yeah, because I mean everybody's different. There's kids that do really well in the film room and learn that way. There's kids that do really good in meetings and learn that way. And then there's kids that physically got to get out there and pull on power. That's the only way. That's the only way they can do it.
And I don't think it meant and that's the thing. In the one clinic talk I had, we kind of talked about, hey, set our expectations and our communication system. And there's, in my mind, there's like 3 levels of intelligence. There's 3 intelligence. You have book smarts, street smarts, and then football intelligence. And you can be, I've had some of the smartest kids, they're 4.6 GPA, AP classes, all this stuff, but for the life of me, I can't get them to figure out that, hey, if there's 2 receivers outside, and there are 4 guys standing out there, and one of those guys is in a sprinter stance looking in the backfield, he might be rushing. Yeah. You know, and it was a kid that was took it. I think 7 or 8 AP classes and all this stuff, and he could never figure that out. Yeah. Then you have the kid who barely can make it through school, but man, he's on top of everything from a football standpoint. So I think when you look at that and say, well, hey, like from a demographic standpoint, this and that, and hey, this school is a better academic school than this school, that all may, when you're talking algebra and English and all that stuff, that may be a big deal.
Football-wise, it may not be different.
No, football doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, the greatest thing about it in my experience in high school football is, you've got to be able to take all these different things that you do, and you got to learn. Kids are different, places are different. This isn't Wisconsin where you played. You're not dealing with, now you've coached a lot of good offensive linemen, and I played against a lot of them. And you've had some kids go on and play, big college football. But the bottom line is you've got a coach who's there, and you've got to figure out, hey, how do I get this through to that kid who's not going to Wisconsin, but he still has to play for me? And he's one of my 5 starters. I got to get him to play.
Yeah, I think from a coaching standpoint, it's almost when you look at it, it's almost like statistics. If you're going to look at statistics, you got to throw out the outliers, either the really good statistics or the really bad statistics to find out who you are. And so if you're going to base your coaching off of all of the Division I blue chip players, like that's not telling you who coaching is. That's all. Basically that's saying that
I've had 5 in 24 years, so I'm going to throw those out.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're gonna be like, look, I'm not even going to factor that in.
Yeah.
All right, but what about the kid? What about the kid that is just an average athlete, average kid? And how's he developed through his 4 years there? How was he as a high school player? You know, from a mentality standpoint, from a technique standpoint, from a knowing the game standpoint, from everything else that goes into it. Those are the kids that we want to look at. Hey, is my coaching successful? Is the way that I'm coaching successful? Is the way that I'm reaching kids successful? Those are the kids that you want to look at. The kids that are, from an O-line standpoint, the guy that's 6'5", 275 pounds, and can, you know, put a dime on top of the backboard. Don't worry about him. All right, all you got to do is make sure he goes the right way, and even then, sometimes
get out of his way.
Just get out of his way. You know, but it's that kid that when you watch him walking down the hall, like you're like, man, how's this kid not falling over?
Yeah.
It's those kids that you got to really kind of coach up, and those are the ones that you want to kind of be to judge who you are as a coach and how you're coaching is to see their progress make. Because if they're making progress, you're doing something right. If they're not, then you need to kind of sit down and
how cool is it though when you get kids in the 9th grade or 10th grade and you're looking at them and you're meeting with your coaching staff and your head coach and this kid's never going to make it, he's not going to be in our program, and 2 years later, as a senior, he's in your starting 5, and you're winning games, and you go back and you go, hey, remember 2 years ago when we saw this kid and said, if we got to play with him, we'll never win a game, and here we are in the 3rd round of playoffs with this kid playing guard or tackle.
Yeah, there's been a lot of those, and those are the ones that you're proud of.
It's everywhere.
It is, and it's one of those things like, it's that, there's a couple things that really, at least for me as a coach, that make me feel really good. It's when a player comes back a couple years later and says, hey coach, you know, I really appreciate what you did for me, for whatever. And it's one of those things like maybe just hold me accountable, teaching me accountability, teaching me that stuff. And then the other part is from a kind of a selfish coach standpoint, it's like, yeah, I took this ragtag group of guys that the D-line didn't want. They weren't athletic enough to be linebackers or anything else. No one wanted them. They were just kind of the groups around, and then people were like, look, there's no as freshmen and even sophomores, and sometimes even juniors, you know, and coaches are like, look, you just kind of stuck with them, and then all of a sudden you start, as the season goes on, you see them progress, and you start winning, and they become the players that, one, they probably didn't think they could be, coaches didn't think they could be, their peers didn't think they could be, and all of a sudden with that then becomes this confidence that you start to see them carry that around with themselves, and that's the cool part, dealing with that, is when you're talking about some of those kids that you wouldn't pick them out and say, hey, this is not a lineman by any means, any stretch of the imagination, but for whatever reason, they bought into it themselves and really worked at it and created themselves into a player.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, as a coach, that's obviously, you know, the greatest experience of all, and we've played against each other. I've seen all the O-lines that you've put together, and you know, you've had some really good ones, and then you've also had some other ones that maybe weren't that good, but somehow, you know, when the season came, they could always block gaps, they could always get it done, and no matter what we threw against them, they could always handle blocking it. So it's a tribute to what you've been able to do, and it's one of the reasons when I thought about doing this and thought I wanted an O-line guy, I said, all right, I'm going to call Matt. I think he'd be really good, and I'm glad he did it. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. We're getting ready for our next 1:30 speaker, so not to cut it short, but it's been awesome.
There's some great speakers. I want to go kind of listen.
How was your experience in the speaking?
It was awesome. It was the first time I ever spoke at a clinic, which was really cool. Just kind of get out there and present the information. But for me, the biggest part that I really enjoyed about was creating a presentation, because I found it was trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to talk to these guys that I may never see again. So how do I make sure that what I'm giving them
is this actually what I do?
Yeah, this is what I do, and say, hey, this is exactly what we do, and making sure that they take in this 50 minutes or an hour if they stay for 2 sessions, 2 hours if they stay for the 2 sessions, and we're able to take something back that they can implement themselves at the high school level and have success with that. So, you know, I think from all the coaches here, I want to definitely say thank you to you for putting this on, and then for me personally, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Hopefully, this is the first of many.
This will be the first of many.
Awesome.
I can tell you guys right now, if you're around the country, anybody that's listening to me, O-line play, Matt Lawrence at the Bolles School right now, played at Wisconsin, as good as there is out there. I can tell you that, coached against them. and listened to some of his topics in there. And great speaker, did an unbelievable job in the room. Matt, thanks so much, and thanks for being on the podcast.
No problem. Thank you.
Appreciate it.